get my drink, nigga.
Drink, right home.
You know, I won this
Jesus.
keychain. I didn't even win it. It was a giveaway. Like in Hatfield Square.
Yeah.
When they were having this thing with
Damn, my nigga, Hatfield Square.
Yeah.
That's like.
They had a crazy ass
first, second years type.
They had a crazy thing for Black Label at that point.
Oh yeah. I mean, Black Label was the thing back then, you know. Even at like Unclass and all those kind of places. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a crazy ass giveaway, and I think like there was some point where they were like, if you buy so many Black Labels in a week or whatever,
true.
Like you could. I think you had to bring in like bottle caps or something.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
They give you things. And
I remember that.
Keychains, wallet things.
Shit.
I wanted the cap because they had a cap as well.
Damn it, man.
And, like the cap was looking really.
Damn it! Is this a game? Not cheeky.
Yeah, those are actually like I got these things from like True. It's a long time ago. It was like before I moved into like Hatfield.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was gonna be like, I had such a crazy idea of what like varsity was gonna be like, because I thought it was gonna be like me, homies, we're gonna find some nasty ass couch from the second-hand store. We're gonna be playing like games and shit. We're gonna be drinking, having a good time. And then you get there and it's like it's not exactly like
very
that.
different. I also had like very weird. I wouldn't say weird, but different ideas of what varsity was like. And varsity in my mind was like this, and then varsity turned out to be like this.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I mean, you come from like a small town, bro. Like, what you know about varsity most of the time, what you know about varsity most of the time is stuff you see in movies, bro. And like the stuff at that age when I was growing up, whatever, the stuff you see in movies, it's like it's random. It's like what's this thing is these American movies like American Pie and what's this guy, this white
Stifler.
Yeah,
but he's an American Pie.
Yeah. And what's this other one?
There was a Blue Mountain State.
Yeah.
Did you watch that one?
Those
that
was
a fucking crazy one. Though.
Those type of movies. You see those and you're like, yeah, like varsity is gonna be like this. Yo, and then varsity you come with it and you're like, shit, I gotta grow up in varsity. Like I actually have to like, be like, no, I have to stand on my own feet. I gotta find things like school and all those. Yeah. And with those things, hey, man, it was like different, yo. Like it was different. But I mean, overall, you genuinely just go with the flow.
You just grow,
Yeah.
You grow into yourself. Because
Yeah.
that was I think when there was a certain point in time when you're at varsity and then like something just clicks and like, okay,
yeah,
shit is real, right?
Oh yeah,
like, yeah. Like you'd be like.
Because the thing is, varsity will kick your ass many times over.
It's very patient. Very patient.
And it will whoop a man's ass for no damn reason, you know.
Like, bro, study.
I'm just trying to. You see, but that's the thing, bro. Like, I genuinely, but you know, like, because I have my views on education and what it should be, but I feel like varsity is. Because what happens with varsity, right? Because I don't think varsity necessarily starts at varsity. I think it starts like grade 12, right?
Yeah.
In the sense that grade 11, 12, in the sense that by the time you get to varsity, you're already in a predetermined course, right?
Sure.
Course you chose while you were in high school. You get to varsity and then you realize, I had options? Like you get there and you're like, well, there were options. Like I could choose something different than this. Like I could have gone in another direction. I could do something that, like, it's also when you realize that whatever you study in varsity might not be the thing that you want to do after you're done with like varsity and stuff. Yeah. But I mean also, but that's again, that's my views on education, that like we're almost forced, or rather shoved into a certain like
box.
Very early in high school where you're like, listen, these are the things available: accounting, law, engineering, what, and those are the things we know, and those are the things we most likely will stick to, right? Get to varsity and you realize, damn, my horizons are opened up, but now I'm already in this place and I can't really change, because if I change, it means I have to add an extra year to what I'm studying, and if I add an extra year, I can't afford an extra year, because you know, like it's a cycle. It goes into the whole cycle of being like fixate or fixed into a specific type of studying, and it impacts you and all those kind of things. That's why I always think like that first year of university it shouldn't be like, it should be something different. It should almost be like an orientation year type situation where
I agree.
almost like how university, I mean, like law firms and stuff will have like a year or 2 years where you go to certain departments.
Doing
But
rotations,
and then universities could be the same thing, but you pick certain like things you might be interested in and stuff. And then like if I'm interested in law and economics and all those kind of things, those things could intersect to something. And one thing you'll realize about like the workplace and stuff is that like there's no one thing that you're sometimes hired for. Like you might be hired for a whole range of things that are interconnected. It's almost like how people in economics, they don't have not to offend anyone, but they don't have the same critical thinking skills that someone in like the humanities might have. But like it's a fact, because the like in humanities you're taught philosophy, you're taught psychology, you're taught law you're taught law maybe from like a social standing
or political perspective,
all those kind of things, and those things allow you to not just look at a problem but really look at what is what a problem is, who's impacting, the type of things that are involved in all those kind of things.
Definitely.
In other categories, like you look at a problem and it's a number problem to you, and the issue with that is that you make people into numbers, and people are numbers. People have so many things, especially when you're dealing with real world issues.
So much more to a person than just like like their student number or
bro,
ID number.
Yeah.
Not intersectionalities there.
Yeah.
You're absolutely preaching that, dog. I like the idea. It sounds very good, because like I can imagine what it's like to like moving straight from high school, especially if you didn't go to a high school where they were like giving you. Where they were maybe giving you like what's this thing? Like if you guys didn't have an open day, did you guys have an open day?
Well, we had people show up. When people, so it wasn't like, so by open day, I'm assuming you mean like an entire day where it's like for like matriculants or like grade 11s or whatever, where like different universities come and then they teach you or they give you information about the thing. We had like someone show up in like life orientation for like 15 minutes and like, hey guys, this is what we offer, these are the application forms.
Oh jeez.
Not much like in-depth understanding or knowledge around what the specific things entail, right? So we didn't have career guidance counselors in high school. Like not the university, this is not the high school. I didn't go to the high school for that. We like whoever came was that person who came, and oddly enough it limited a lot of people's options.
It does
because even in high school we're not all at the same level of education, and understandably so, people are not the same, right? So universities came to us, but AFTA never did. What if those people who had an inclination towards filmmaking and all those kind of things, right? But I understand sometimes AFTA probably doesn't have the resources in order to. But this is just an example of saying people's horizons are always limited by what they know. I mean, you only are what you know at the end of the day. Like you can't go into depth in other things, right? Well, obviously you can, like through self-information and all those kind of things, but most of the time, especially when you come from a small town, you're very limited by that sphere until you try and take yourself out.
Exactly. You have to put yourself through those paces first.
It's
crazy, dog. Like it's crazy because here's the funny thing for me, because you're from a small town, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the difference for me. Me growing up here, we going to my high school, right? So luckily we did have like open days where we could attend at other high schools, even though you come to us. Yeah, man, we were lucky, dog. I know what it is. So we'd maybe we'd attend some of these open days, right? And you get to ask questions and things like that. And I mean, at some points, if we were lucky enough, we'd go out on excursions. We would go to the school campus, and they were able to maybe at least fix a slot or time to take us a tour around the campus or just talk to us type of thing.
I've seen those attacks when we were there.
But I don't think we ever went to Tux. But we went to Oak Tree college, where they do IT and all these different courses. Personally, I was very interested in IT.
I knew you've been interested in that stuff.
But maths just didn't work out, dog. I ended up
Be
doing
like
maths.
that.
I changed to maths in like trick, and I was like, fuck,
My G.
because like I just like watching my mathematics,
Yeah.
like my mathematics like marks is like you just slowly
Yeah.
slow down. Like I remember
You-
at some point I even got 23% dog for like a whole term mark. I was
that's-
like, fuck that
guy,
shit.
you
I'm
gotta-
out.
Peace!
And then the nerve of the teacher, she
Peace.
comes up to me, she's like, "Are you sure you want to change?" I was like, "Bitch, do you not see my marks?"
Did you see? Like, look at this and look at the others.
Nigga.
But you know what? I mean, like the difference between me and you there is that although I also did math lit, is that I didn't even attempt maths.
Okay.
I kind of knew early where I wanted to go in terms of school, right?
Ah.
So, in terms of study,
Yeah.
But I kind of knew early, so I didn't even attempt maths. But I did mathematical stuff like accounting, but not for long. I also left accounting and just like geography.
Sure.
And I was smacking the shit out of geography. And the only reason why I kind of like removed myself from all those kind of things is because I understood very early who I am and who I'm not. Not a mathematical person. Like you're not gonna sit me down and I can do basic stuff, right? I can do not basic stuff, but I can do.
You can calculate, bro. You can do math.
Yeah, I can do math and
Basic
I can do
maths,
the early higher grade maths. Ne?
Sure.
But I'm not gonna be sitting down like do maths paper. No, that's not me. I understood where my power, quote unquote, lay, and that was towards like the words and critical thinking, all those kind of things. Not to say that people with maths aren't like critical thinkers, but I understood.
Okay.
My nigga, I'm trying to put. I don't want people in my
When it
DMs
comes to
talking
you,
about.
dog.
Hey, you remember when you said?
Listen, son, I ain't gonna calculate your tax returns no more. You been talking shit about me. You're like, hey, man. Like, yeah, I hear you, bro. Yeah.
I chose my lane, but I did it purposefully because I just realized that I was doing so well here. But when it came to this, even like for grade 10 and stuff, I wasn't doing great. And I think at some point it was almost like an ego thing for me in that I can't be getting like 80s and like 90s here. But when I come to like maths and stuff, I'm getting like 60s or like like below 60. I mean, I never got like a bad grade grade 10 and stuff. And
Sure.
But for maths and stuff, it was more of a struggle than the others, right? And I kind of understood where my career trajectory was, and I was like, I want to study law. And I'm like, do I need maths? So like, nope. I'm like, I'm in, I'm in. But I mean, not obviously the law thing. Also, I kind of pivoted from that, but that's like a later story. But even with maths and all those kind of things, I kind of knew earlier. I'm like, I want to do this, bro. And I feel like a lot of kids are almost pressured societally into doing the things that they also didn't feel too comfortable in. And then that's when you find that after high school, a lot of people are actually upgrading like their results in maths because they didn't do too well, and now they almost lost an entire year or didn't go to the university they wanted to go to. And so I almost rigged the system in my favor by focusing on what I was best at and knowing that would get me to where I want to be, and then hopefully in the future I'd be able to like.
That's the best way to do it. Yeah, I agree, because especially with people who are like felt pressure to like immediately go to school.
Yeah.
Because I was in grade.
And you, because you took like a gap year.
I took a gap year. Yeah. Fuck it. I didn't get to the shit I want.
I think you're the first black person I met. Like no cap. No cap, bro. Like that took a gap year. Yeah. And I was like, that was an option? I didn't know there was an option and stuff. And
I guess it depends on your parents as well. Like, how understanding are they about your situation? Because, I mean, as black people, especially in South Africa, it's like, anything could happen to you. So if I'm on my gap year, I could end up doing, like, a serious amount of, like, bad drugs. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just depends on how, like, well, your parents understand you and think, okay, I'm more likely to fuck around and do shit like that. So eventually, like, for me, luckily, I just had to, like, play rugby, and then eventually I found, like, a part-time work, and then it was okay. It wasn't so bad. My circumstances weren't so bad.
Well, at least, when some people, like, especially with the gap year thing, gap year is such a strange concept for black people and black parents, because they see gap year and like, Oh, and then but in that year, what are you doing?
Niggas not
Yeah,
contributing.
I'm trying to find myself. I'm trying to see, I'm just trying to see where my life will be and all those kind of things. And I feel like so many kids would have benefited from that because
For real.
you find that a lot of people in varsity, they are finding themselves in varsity. And it's almost an expensive way to find yourself.
It really is.
Because how many people do we know that did 1 year of law, then switched to like engineering?
Yeah.
Or just went straight to humanities because they were like, I just want to focus on this. But then there's also some people, I know like a few gents who are like that. I wish I could go do something like humanities, but I can't because my parents won't pay for that. But that's only after a year where they realized that
this is not for me.
the law is not for me, but I want to focus on that.
Yeah.
So, dang man, had I known. But I mean, I feel like had I known still, I probably would have because, I mean, for me, like, you grew up here, right?
Yeah.
The big cities was always just like on your doorstep.
Sure.
For me, I just want to get out of my town.
I get that. Yeah.
Small town, I mean, you don't want to stay in a small town for too long.
What happens?
like your life becomes very like enclosed. You only know what's there. Yeah, you go on holiday, but holiday you only see some nice parts and stuff, but you're very fixated in that, and it becomes such a safe place.
Sure.
And when you stay in a safe place for too long, it becomes very bad for your personal growth and
You
stuff.
get too attached to it. You're comfortable.
Nothing grows in that safe place, bro.
No.
Not ever has it grown. So you're like removing yourself, and sometimes you have to, take yourself out forcefully. I mean, like all like cultures. I mean, it's almost like why I understand why cultures in the old times, and when a child reaches a certain point of their lives where they can almost fend for themselves, they get ripped away from their mothers and put into an environment where they are forced to grow.
Definitely.
Right? Because their mother means safety. Because when they try to get pulled away, they'll try and cling on to the mother. Because mom means safety. And in that safe place, they realize that the child doesn't grow there. You're not going to become like, I wouldn't say a man. I don't want to use that frame of word, but you don't become your true self if you are very comfortable in that safe place.
You won't be useful to your village or your society because
Exactly.
all you know is to rely on your mother. So definitely,
True
I agree with that, dog.
True that.
I think that also like help a lot of problems we face in our society where because I think what can happen, what the potential is there for people to not want to make use of themselves. So if somebody wants everything handed to them, and then they just also constantly are so spoiled and they're so opulent in their personality, then it's very hard.
That's a key thing you mentioned, Ray. Like opulent in their personality, not just like living in opulence, but in their personality.
Exactly,
that's a big thing. Exactly. I mean, there's people we know that are well off, but their personalities are not opulent.
Yeah, exactly.
They're humble in their
Very
personalities, meaning they can remove themselves also from situations that give them a bit too much comfort, allowing them not to grow in any way.
Exactly.
So, bro, that's like such an important term, even opulent in your personality.
Because like the other thing is like I love that idea. I wish we could still do that in our society where once you're like maybe you're 17 or you're 18 or something, we're like, okay, get out of your town. We're gonna put you in some. Maybe it's not some kind of like a survivor thing, but almost maybe something. I don't want to say Hunger Games because that's just like that's just fucked up.
But let's remove.
But like let's move you somewhere, and then like you have to go through like a series of challenges, like almost like a rite of passage,
But that's like literally the same thing I went to. I mean, that's the whole point of like rite of passage in in the Xhosa culture. It's not just to get your foreskin card.
Yeah, exactly.
You can get your foreskin card in a hospital,
and you can do that.
You'd still probably have more peace and stuff. But when you go through a rite of passage, and that's the one thing I found so beautiful about them is that, firstly, you grow. You're forced to grow, right? Because you're taken out of an environment, and that environment that has a
safety net.
Yeah, safety net, and it also has a different you, right?
Okay.
You get put in a place that requires a different you. Because this requires you to think about survival, to think about like you know, every day. Because what you essentially are in when you like in Xhosa culture, when you're going through your rites of passage, ulwaluko, is you put against the elements. You don't have like a heater. Your heater's the fire.
Sure.
You have to make the fire. You have to collect the wood, or like you have people that help you around collect the wood, right?
How long do they stick around for to help you collect the wood?
Like it depends, right? So there's like little niggas who could be like your nieces or your nephews and stuff, or just some kids from the village, And then they can help you like pick up stuff, and then they bring you food, because you're obviously not allowed to go back to until your full rite of passage is done. So like they stick around through the whole time, probably leave the day before you're about to go out. So that entire process, it's more around like building you as a man, right? In Xhosa culture, right? They'll build you as a man. It allows you to look at yourself. You face yourself a lot of the time, and the whole point is to make sure that you come out on the other side with a different perspective, different perspective on family, on yourself, your responsibilities, all those kind of things.
That's
like
really powerful,
and those and those things you don't learn anywhere else. Like genuinely do not learn anywhere else, because you're forced to learn those things there because of the learnings, because you also get learnings from people. You get old people that come like sit down with you, and you know they have conversations with you and stuff, and you know, and you also just realize from the things that are being done around and whatever, you also realize you take lessons if you're a person. But now it's not for like not everyone takes those lessons. And that's usually like the side where that people see, because I mean bad news travels very fast, right? So people see that side, but just generally like there's a reason why the culture, or rather the practice persists, because we see like a lot of us see a lot of value in that, because of what it gives and what it allows us to do, because it also teaches you giving back.
I agree,
because I always have to, I mean, you eventually have to go back, and you know, someone's going to the butcher, even if you don't go visit them there, but you need to make sure that you're present, especially if someone is in your family. But what it also does in a major way is like it creates a brotherhood. Like we like, no matter who you are, if you've gone through that passage, like, you know, it's almost like a brotherhood, because that person knows the level of like pain and anguish and, you know, missing family and going all through those things. A person understands. It's like, you know, they understand from not just an understanding standpoint, but just like a more intrinsic standpoint. Like they understand what it takes in order to survive that. Because not like, as everyone knows, every year in December, not everyone makes it out.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, bro. But a lot of the times, it also comes down to personal responsibility, because at the end of the day, as much as there's people who are gonna bring you food, someone who takes care of you or whatever, you have to take personal responsibility.
But I mean, are you saying that most of the people, maybe they pass away because they weren't taking care of themselves?
Different scenarios, bro. Because when we look at rite of passage, right, we're chatting rite of passage. When you look at rite of passage, now I'm talking about Eastern Cape, right?
Of
but
course,
even in the Eastern Cape, in certain areas do rites of passage a different way. Certain areas do rites of passage in another different way, right? We might be doing the same thing, but we're not doing it in the same way because of how it was done, right? So if you look at my area, traditionally it was called the Siskai area, right? So Siskai area did Ulwaluko a certain way, right? But the Transkei area did at some point, I think Ulwaluko was banned, right? And that was only mainly because of apartheid. Like the people had to go work in the mines. And if we just look at like the history logs and stuff, that area of the Eastern Cape, the Transkei area, had a huge influx of people going into the mines, because they were predominantly farmers, right? But now, because of the land
disputes
with the African government saying, you know, they can't farm or whatever, or what, all those kind of things, they had to go into the mines, right? But and when you go into the mines, you don't just go for like 3 months and come back. That's like your entire year, right? You spend your entire year there. So, and then maybe sometimes you'll come in December. And December, some people just didn't go to the bush or didn't want to, because now they had a different experience here. That's why you also find like a lot of like places this side, like that are Xhosa dominated, will have ulwaluko like here in Gauteng and stuff. I know there's some places like in the south, like south of Johannesburg.
Really?
Yeah, there's been, I think it was in the news a while back, even they had ulwaluko.
Shit.
You know, they it's because they carried that culture, but some people didn't. When they went back home, they didn't, because when they got the side, they built families. They were like, why do I need to go through that? What, like, what's the point?
Passage is for them. Maybe at a personal level, they felt like they're already like they've gone into that phase.
Exactly.
Life, yeah.
So for them, they kind of, I wouldn't say forgot, but they kind of forgot that practice. But now because they brought it back in like years back. They brought it back in. It's not being done the same way we did it, because our part of the Eastern Cape didn't stop, so it's been consistent. They're doing it differently, because they might have a room like this where it's like 10, 15 guys.
Oh, okay.
We in our side of the sky, it sometimes be me alone, like that. I'd be the only initiate in this one room. They'd have 15. Now imagine if there's 15 of you compared to one. That's a tricky thing. Even the guy taking care of you, that's a lot of people to take care of. Yeah. Some people might miss. So even in those situations, personal responsibility is even more important. Where like issues like gangrene, gotta watch out for that stuff. And if you're not taking care of yourself, who is? You know.
Okay,
and,
I see.
You know, so those kind of issues and many other things like probably crop up. So it's not the same situation for everyone.
Oh shit.
You know.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why we always like, when we see these things in the news, we're like, stop talking trash about her. But I mean,
but yeah, that's the one thing that sucks about the news. They never go into too much detail about, okay, it's this particular area of the Eastern Cape of Gauteng or whatever, or like their practice is this. These are the kind of people there. Or, you know, maybe it's hard for them to do that, but essentially when they just end up basically generalizing. Not everyone is going to be. Everyone ends up looking like a bad person. We don't know generalizing is bad.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's
but I mean, like, that's just like news in general, bro. Like, I mean, like news. Every news station, I don't care what news thing it is.
Yeah.
Narratives. Everyone's trying to push a narrative. I mean, a while back, was it not? I think the DA or something took the SABC to court. For the SABC had to change from being a state-run newspaper, news outlet, to be a public one, because that small thing, state and public, two different things.
Okay.
Because that determines the narratives. It determines also what gets put on like SABC News, which is the dominating news platform for most South Africans. Right? So a state-run platform, like a state-run news corporation, right?
Essentially becomes a propaganda mouthpiece.
Because that was also another argument, is like the SABC is not showing enough like opposition like conferences and all those kind of things. Not showing them enough. Okay. But a public one, because of public interest, it has to look at all the opposition parties as equals. And put and all those things. So what I'm saying is just narratives are also just like part of like media in general. Is like if there's a specific narrative, and sometimes it's not even purposefully, right? People don't do it on purpose. It's just sometimes a narrative will form and people will toe the line of that narrative just to keep it going, just to, just to feed the rumor mill or whatever. And oddly enough, it's such a bad way, like it's such a bad thing, but it's human society in general. I mean,
we're prone to like if we feel like, I think it also comes back to the idea of having some form of like a feeling like you're belonging to a village or a community. Because when everybody agrees on the same thing, you always want to stick. Human beings often want to stick with those people because they feel safer with them,
and that is so dangerous.
Very dangerous.
But I mean, that is the foundation of nation states in themselves. Is that people want to stick to? They'll stick to. That's why people will like try and abide to royalty. I genuinely feel like royalty has no place in modern society.
It's lost its purpose. I feel in modern day.
There's no point. I feel like even if the Brits wake up this morning, and I mean the British Royal House wake up this morning and like, we're trying to go to war with this whatever. You are like, why?
I mean, because You see, now they have so much power, you don't know what the extent of their influence is. If it was like a monarch or royal.
But that's the
family.
thing.
Yeah.
They work with influence.
But for them, at least I know in the UK, they have their influence may be regional when it comes down, like if you boil it down to dukes and things like that. Because unfortunately, they're probably connected to politicians. But almost all royal families all over the world have political connections. So in South Africa, I know, like especially in the Zulu royal family, it's very important for them to maintain some kind of a power. I think, especially for organizations like the ANC, where they know they're relying on.
Do you
them for
not
votes.
think that power is perceptual? Like it's just based on perception. It's like they have that power, but can they truly wield it in a substantive way?
Think of it like I'd like to think of it or look at it from a perspective of somebody who's a conservative. So imagine I'm a conservative person. I believe in tradition. I believe in my culture and things like that. I'd like to believe that like the royal family provides a role of leadership in our community where politicians can't reach down to like those grassroots level, like what is it, the social services, or just like being there for the community as leaders. So for the royal family, maybe it's for me, if I were to be that kind of a person, you know, I'd be like, okay, the royal family is able to organize people who can have like meetings and things like that. They can help decide things for the better of us. It may not necessarily be true, but it's like you said, I think then I'll have to concede to what you're saying. There definitely is some perceptual aspect to it, and a little bit of some substantive truth.
I will concede, if you put it that way, in terms of some substantive power, I will concede to that. But I just genuinely feel like they, not even generally, not feel like, but like no, their power is very much. I mean, for the Brits, right? Like the British royal family staying staying in power or like in their position, it's part of the national identity. Like it's part of it. It'd almost be like so weird if you saw an United States of America royalty. Like their royalties, American royalties, are based on money and power. I mean, in the Brits,
but they eradicated any. Okay, I don't think any of the Native American tribes had like royalty, technically speaking. But I mean, like, most of them would have been eliminated anyway. Would have formed part of the identity if they had survived and they were able to preserve their culture and way of life. You know, but with America, the way America's set up, I don't think it would have been the case.
They'd probably run up in that royal house.
Dude,
anything. It would be so wild.
Like, you could imagine Trump being on TV. Listen, I don't like Chief Seattle. Talks too much. He does nothing, okay? He does nothing. Me, I'm the best. I'm the best, guys.
That's exactly it. That's some Trump ass shit right there.
But that's the thing about royal families, I guess. Because, like, bro, I mean, like, from a sentimental perspective, they do look very nice. Like, it's very nice to have it maybe ceremoniously, but they cost a lot.
I was about to go there. Sorry, it slipped my mind. I was about to go there. They cost a lot. I recently looked at how much, because I was recently looking at because the President Cyril Ramaphosa is increasing the amount of money paid to like MPs and stuff, right? Now, when I was going down the list, I looked at councillors to kings. If you're a counselor to a king or something like that, you get paid around 1.3 M per year.
What?
And I'm just like, that dwarfs in comparison to how much is being paid. Well, I think if you're a member of parliament also.
You're somewhere around there, but you still get benefits too.
If that dwarfs the amount that is paid to the kings, to the royal houses rather.
Holy shit.
Bro, the amount of money being paid to the Zulu royal house per year, I think it was around 66 M or something for maintenance, for a lot of different things. I didn't look at what directly is like it encompasses and stuff. But it's, my thing is, why?
Yeah.
I get it because traditional like royalty and stuff played a huge part during apartheid in terms of organizing people, swaying the opinions of a certain society, and putting their power behind like an ANC or something, because that counted a lot, because the Zulu nation in itself, especially during the apartheid era, their collective power substantively was with the Zulu royal house. Right, okay. So the ANC definitely needed them in terms of getting that KZN vote. But we're 27 years after. Why are we still paying these people?
That's a good question.
Will society and my thing is, I always mention these things on the backdrop of South African society. The lack of schools, the lack of road, the lack of, and I'm like, bruh.
But here's the fucked up thing that's happening right now, Zuko, is that like we're actually slowly heading into a state of like what is this shit? Fuck. The word was right there, but like essentially they're gonna cut down on public spending for the public. So for things like austerity measures right now, because I remember as soon as you took the loan, you said like, no, we're entitled to take this loan of however much it was. We won't. There will be no need for us to take any structural adjustments or go into austerity measures, bro. As soon as those things started happening within this year, as soon as this year started and the new budget was released, there was like significant cuts to the budget for education, significant cuts to the budget for public health and things like that. But those are just like two of the most like fundamental needs of any given society. Like you need to be funding your education like there's no tomorrow.
Specifically this one, man. This, like our society, it needs a lot more in terms of education and stuff.
I think the money is there. It's just that like what the issue is. It's just like they're not implementing and they're not doing the work.
Yeah.
Because like there's a lot of money and there's a lot of money. That's why a lot of like people do go into the centers. They do go into businesses because you hear schools are being built, but they're not fit to be occupied in.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They maybe they're having logistical issues with like supplying medical equipment to like hospitals and things like that. Yeah, it is corruption, dog. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's all fucking there. It's fucking maddening, dog. Because every single day you're gonna like turn on the news and it's all they're talking about, and you're like, okay, I've had enough. I don't want to see this shit.
And that's the most I don't even watch the news no more, bro.
It's impossible to. How could you?
And that's my biggest gripe with this country, or rather, things that I also see as a very heartening, not disheartening, is that the people are there.
Yeah.
The cries are there, but it's not being done. And that's when we have to go back and just say, bruh, is this the government we want us to lead to the promised land? Because when we look at the ANC and stuff, I'm not sure if there are other like examples, but traditionally what happens post the revolution is that the people who were the freedom fighters, they cannot lead post revolution. It just doesn't happen. Nowhere in society has it happened where they lead post revolution and it works out well. South Africa is still just like it's a use case, an ongoing use case of how we've stabilized for this long post the revolution and led by freedom fighters, because that's what they are essentially.
I think we all know without having to say like there are. See, I don't want to sound like conspiracy theorists, but I think there's a deep state, because like it's not just it's clear, like in as much as the ANC is in charge, they're the ones like who's running for elections and things like that. But like the kind of decision makings, the kind of like, I mean, consistently, how is it that like so many state-owned entities have been consistently on the fall? Where like they've collapsed SAA, they've collapsed like Denel, they've collapsed Eskom as well. 3 different sitting presidents have failed in arresting the slide. Like it's so weird to me, because like when you start to think of it and you look at you take a closer look to it, you can see it's like, okay, so they're assigning somebody to head this organization, maybe Eskom or whatever it is. But no matter what,
It's still going down.
The
SA
same
is
problems
such a
keep recurring.
SA is such a perfect example of that.
But it's not like they're sitting there and they're like, okay, I'm gonna make bad decisions. It's that like there's outside players who are coming in and they're being told that like, listen, you're gonna go to SA, you're gonna make such a deal, and this person's gonna say yes, and that's what I think that's what like the book does really like illustrated very well.
Yeah.
Well, there were people from the outside, and then they had so much influence where they were able to say like, okay, well, like we need to liberate X amount of money from XCOM. We need so much money for ourselves.
Yeah.
Get us somebody who can get that done for us, and they'll appoint whoever at XCOM and whoever, and then like they'll just like make so many poor decisions, bad decisions making.
People who weren't even fit for that role or whatever.
Contracts.
I feel like the only golden thread in terms of a deep state I've found just globally is money.
Yeah.
Money is the deep state of all deep state, because what money does is it attracts people who are greedy and people who will do anything to get money at whatever cost. Gupta's perfect example, right? Now, when we look at South Africa as a use case and a case study, we have to almost go back to pre-1994, right? As much as I have my own criticism against the ANC and the government, but I've also seen a lot of good they've done as a government, right?
Okay.
Now, another issue, right? Another issue was that they were also cut at the feet pre and post the negotiations, the CODESA negotiations, because they had to. And it's weird because when people think of negotiations, they think of because we only get told the story of the victor, but not what the victor had to give up.
Yeah.
We don't get told. I mean, we get told the story of the lion taking down a buck, but we don't have to. We forget that the lion probably had to concede, whatever he had to concede.
Yeah, right? To look like a fool probably in front
of other lions, chasing up and down, whatever.
Exactly.
So now in this situation of the ANC, they probably had to concede, right? Yeah. Now what those concessions mean is that, and sometimes they probably had to concede in certain areas, right? They had to concede mining rights, and then the ANC had to probably realize we can build our way back to owning or repair or whatever, but we have to concede now, because at this point they're saying we'll give you this, but you gotta make sure that we're safe here. You don't touch our mining companies, but make sure we're safe here, right? And they also have to consider in certain areas. But now I think it's a issue by issue thing, right? Now SAA, for instance, I look at SAA. Again, another common belief that I have, and that's something that I've seen across Africa, is that there generally is no need for a state-owned air freight, airline, right? Yeah. Airline specifically, right? Now, people might argue, well, SAA doesn't just carry people around. I agree.
Yeah, of course.
SAA doesn't just carry people around. SAA forms part of the transportation infrastructure of the country, right? Keep that. Don't keep this SAA. Don't keep SAA as it is.
You can own the oil ports. You don't need like the actual airline. Okay. Yeah.
We don't need the airline.
Yeah.
And it's been exemplified throughout Africa because because the thing is, people forget what the conception of national airlines was. When the French and the USA and then they had their own airline rates, whatever. The whole idea around getting an airline, it was supposed to be a identity thing for the country, right? It means that you're at the forefront of transportation, but it also means that other investors can come to your country and do business because you've got infrastructure that's able to handle any form of business, right? Yeah. So I mean, that's why a lot of
nationally owned airlines have essentially gone like they're no longer they're still there, but like they're privately run or privately owned.
Yeah, they also have to like move a bit to the side and focus less on private, like on people, and more on carrying like packages and being transport. Logistical. That's the word. Yeah. Logistical side of it instead of the, because if you look at Africa is just as a perfect use case for a lot of things. A lot of countries.
Wait, are you saying use case?
A use case, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of countries in Africa. This one slipped my mind. I'm not sure if it's Kenya or whatever.
There's Rwanda and Kenya,
like one
too.
of these countries stopped having a national airline, like a nationally owned airline, because it's like there's no point. What's the point of it? Because you have it. It can't be sustainable because it's national. It's public. It's run with public money. If it was publicly funded, I mean, if it was privately funded, the losses and all those kind of things can be handled from a business standpoint. And that's the issue with the national airlines, is that they're not being handled from a business standpoint. They still being handled from a public image standpoint. If you remove SA at the top, I mean, it's not. I'm simplifying it, but it's not as always simple. I'm sure there's a lot of things that go into it. But if you remove SAA, keep this, privatize certain parts of it, what you're doing now is you're stimulating growth in that area. But also, it doesn't have to be just a purely private. It can be a public-private enterprise type situation. Like,
you just have to own shares in it, I guess, as a state. You don't need to necessarily be in the business of running it.
And the state does that. I don't know what the issue is.
But we know what the issue is. And I hate to reference this video, but I was watching a video last night. I can't remember who the guy was, but he was just discussing what's the difference between China and South Africa. And when he was characterizing South Africa, he described the ANC as an organization of terrorists, right? But this is based from from apartheid. He's one of those white people who are still mad about a lot of things, right? And I'm I still had to listen because I'm okay, let me see if he's making any good points or if he's just talking out of his ass.
There's always some nuggets in
right?
there.
So he says, well, essentially these terrorists or whatever. I'm they're not all terrorists, but he says this is the thing. Most of them, once they got into power, they were just interested in lining up their pockets. Because what he was describing was, because he lives in China now, and he says well, what has happened since then is that no infrastructure has there's not a good amount of infrastructure that has been built that has been beneficial. A lot of the infrastructure that was pre-existing has in fact crumbled, right? So I mean, he's just talking about things like your ESCOM with the power stations, roads. They can't they're having a hard time building schools. They can't provide water to a lot of areas to this day. Electricity is still rolling blackouts that don't stop, shit like that. And I was okay, that's interesting. So it's what we were talking about is when they own these SOEs, they just want to be able to have access to that tap of water, of unlimited water.
My issue with that, bro, and especially with those type of people, is that they have very short memories. People think South Africa's problem started in 1994. Yeah. The apartheid government was messing up big time.
Here's the thing.
Niggas were looting.
But I mean, okay, I don't live in that time, but I've always talked, this is my point, I think, about corruption. This is my stance on corruption. I feel like corruption is inevitable. There'll always be corruption, right?
Humanity, bro.
Yeah,
greed.
There will always be some element of greed.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a reasonable amount that can be overlooked, provided that the work is being done.
That's it right there.
Okay, because
that's all the countries say. Go wild, loot.
No, don't go wild.
No. But remember, caveat: loot, build schools.
Sharp. Okay.
Build roads.
Yeah.
Make sure them roads are right. Because what people don't realize now is that a lot of South Africans, not obviously South Africans are not happy with corruption, but a lot of South Africans are happy that when certain things are done, they're not gonna look at you adding an extra 1% at the top. They don't. And that's generally why you won't hear stories of corruption from other countries and stuff, right? A lot of them anyway, is because people will add markup. It's not not just skimming from the top, it's just adding markup. Bro, I got people to pay. The project was supposed to last 3 months, it lasted 6 months. I'm adding an extra 2% per month or whatever. That's technically not looting. You're just balancing out,
trying to milk out a little bit more.
Exactly. And bro, it's not even just I don't even think it's just milking out, but also just you taking what's due to you. These people were supposed to be contracted for 3 months.
Wait, which people are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying just a fixed company. Okay. People were supposed to be contracted for 3 months. The project was supposed to be for 3 months. Now the project lasts for 6 months. These people need to be paid for 6. Yeah. So am I not allowed to add a marker or add an extra 2% or whatever to compensate for these people having to work for that long.
But
and
here's the
paying
thing,
them.
bro. Like, here's the thing about something like that. I feel personally. So if that happens, where like there's a contract the municipality or province puts out, and like people like running for costs, and they say, well, like initially it was supposed to be done by within 3 months or 4 months, and it runs into like an extra 1 or 2 months.
Yeah.
There are people watching you. Okay, so like your employees will probably be like, hey, I thought this was a contract for 4 months. They just extended for another 2 months or whatever the case is, and they'll be like, oh, okay, so it's possible to do that, right? And the thing is, like, people get ideas, people learn from what they see.
But that's the issue.
Yeah, it's
when you.
I don't think it's an issue to learn, but the issue is that when you don't understand what's going on, really.
Yeah.
Because I think here's a case study my dad gave me about like some workers, some people who did like landscaping and cleaning for the Parliament House in Limpopo, and he said, well, they had a dispute with their boss because he wasn't paying their salaries, and he gets into a meeting with the boss and the two shop stewards, and he's like, what's going on? He's like, well, they haven't paid me, and he's like, okay,
the shop steward
hasn't
been paid.
No,
Oh, the boss is
the
saying
boss
he hasn't been paid
because
for the
he's
project.
contracted by the
Okay,
Limpopo
cool,
Parliament, right?
I'm with you.
So the boss says, okay, we need to go into a meeting with these guys, but just you, me, and them. And he's like, no, I need the shop stewards there. Otherwise, I'm not going in. You can go with them. I'm not going unless the shop stewards are there, right? Because he was a union guy. So eventually they get into the meeting and they say, oh, like, we paid these guys. The money's there. I don't know what the issue is, but we've paid them. The system shows that it's been paid. But it turns out this guy was doing corruption with one of the people who like giving out the contracts, right? Because that's how it happens.
Officer,
The procurement officers, that's how they always do. They're like, okay, listen, I'll give you the contract and then you just give me so much. And I think maybe this guy didn't pay it back and didn't pay it out.
No corruption without government employees.
Exactly.
And that is the truth, the strange and the facts of it.
Here's the fucked up part, is that like when I was working in China, right, like there definitely is corruption. But it's functional. It's to make sure that like work can get done. So me as if there's an English teacher, because I knew a lot of people who were native English native English speakers, but it was corruption with a purpose, right? They were actually trying. They were trying to get kids educated. They were trying to get kids to learn English. So these are like non-native, like English-speaking people teaching English in China because the demand is like too big. Yeah. So they had a weird like caveat where like, okay, we want native English speakers, but we can't afford to pay them all because like every single school in every country has a set budget, but they obviously not all of them can afford to have like a native English speaker, right? If we're going to give them such a small amount of money, whatever the case is. So eventually they'd be like, well, okay, I'll settle for somebody from maybe Saudi Arabia, or settle for someone from India.
Who knows English?
Yeah, maybe the accent is not great, but they can speak English and they can work on their accent.
And they'll probably be for less than I would have gotten if I was getting a nigga from Britain.
Precisely, right? So, I mean, you look at it like that, we're like, oh, okay, well, I get it. Maybe, the government is willing to overlook in some cases, but at least there's like
that's what I'm saying.
There's a goal in mind, right?
But that's what I'm saying is that a majority of people, they have an issue. It's not that obviously everyone has an issue with like corrupt behavior, like generally, like you're not supposed to do it. It's greed. But people generally, as you were saying, people generally have an issue when services are not being provided. But when services are being provided, it's almost easy to overlook. In the sense that you can almost, like in the same example you're making now, it's like a service is being provided. They are providing people that speak English. Yeah. Don't have the British accent or American accent. But nigga, you speak English. You went to university. You know English good damn well. We did English for 2 years, bro. So like, who more than you is more qualified? I mean, you're probably more qualified than the guy they would have found randomly elsewhere, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is that people want services to be provided. Anything else, because at the end of the day, people are very focused on their survival.
I don't want us to focus too much on this,
like,
because I feel like this we're gonna get rent, but let's wrap it up on a good note. All right, Zuko, you are the new like anti-corruption tender officer. Right? We're the Patreon government. Yeah. You got you an office in South Africa. All right. How would you go about like dealing with this, bro?
I'm arresting everybody. I'm arresting everybody. You look suspicious. I think like generally, bro. Like I feel like this. I don't want to simplify it and say I do this and that, because I feel like when it comes to issues of like corruption and all those kind of things, those are departmental, interpersonal type of issues, right? So you need a whole bunch of people sitting at the table saying, guys, how do we look at this? How do we solve this from a interpersonal, interdepartmental level, right? Which I think is currently happening now. Like, I'm not too mad at what's currently happening now with the president and him putting certain departments or certain I wouldn't say staff, but like, so it's like what's currently happening with the government and stuff is like obviously putting in certain departments and certain like units in place in order to fight corruption, right? So you have your financial unit, whatever, right? Whether it's within SARS or whatever, but they're fighting financial
tax evasion, shit like that.
Type situations like that.
Yeah.
Then from a legal perspective, those niggas who tax evaded, we're taking them to court because we want that money you stole, right? Or we want that money you take back. From a human resources standpoint, meaning that like obviously corruption can happen without government employees. We're trying to root those people out, right? How do we better? I mean, it's weird now because you can never look at someone and say, you're gonna be corrupt. Yeah. You know, you can never do that. But you generally have you can always minimize that by ensuring that like there's certain procedures in place to minimize any of that corruption, right?
Sure.
And if anyone tries to go behind or scheme or whatever, they get removed immediately because the moment one thing is wrong, the moment there's rot here, it's gonna mess up the whole thing. So I mean, that whole interdepartmental, interpersonal thing definitely necessary. It's long overdue. I mean, I know the government didn't have as much like the previous government didn't have as much focus on that and stuff, but I'm glad this one at least is doing that. So yeah, like I feel like even also like a person who's like the head of that needs to be like a hound dog, yo. Like you can't rest.
Yeah, no.
Because what a lot of South Africans do, they think corruption is there. They don't understand that it affects them personally.
They never look around like
they don't think it hits them personally, and that's what corruption does. For the most part, it hits people personally. Because someone stole money in the Department of Transport, you don't have a road. Your kids they have to cross a river.
Imagine, dog.
So, like, a person who's like an anti-corruption, like head of anti-corruption, you almost have to be offended.
Because, you're right. Because a lot of people don't look at corruption in an everyday sense, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, until I'm sure, like, when you were driving down on the bridge, bridge, né? I'm sure you noticed like one of the before you even like I'm sure the traffic started halfway on the bridge.
Yeah.
And then after you get to the bridge, there's a point where you see the traffic lights and then there's like the roads split up.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of fucky shit going on because the roads aren't like demarcated properly, right?
Yeah. I almost turned right.
Like, yeah.
I almost turned right. And then I realized, hey man, I'm supposed to be going straight, but there's only one lane. It's at the end. But how was the
exactly? Yeah. So there's two lanes to turn right. 2 lanes that go straight. But because these niggas don't like, they don't even like. I don't even know what the hell's going on in the Tshwane municipality right now. There's a lot of fucking shit going on. So the budget is not there to fucking just like like spray paint roads again. So like you can see like the white line is here. Here's the stop sign. Here's that, here's this here. Like all those little small like road markings. They don't have the budget for those because none of those projects haven't been done in years, bro.
Imagine that, though.
Bro, just something that small, they can't even, it's that bad, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have issues with like contractors that they have that are supposed to be fixing electricity around around here. So you have Tshwane and then you have the Waterloo depot. So at the depot, the other day we were like, lights keep going out here for some reason. Yeah. And I called this lady. This lady's like, well, no, you guys have too many people living in your back rooms. You need to get meters for those people. Wait, what? Bitch, hold on. Do I have a house? Like, what? Do you hear yourself? And I drop the phone, and then like obviously we go to the depot. And like my dad goes in. He's like, hey, listen, my son was talking to somebody. They was talking a whole bunch of shit about us owning back rooms. Who the fuck is that? They found out who it is, but like we never got to see that lady for some reason. But like. So we ended up talking to the assistant, like the assistant to like the senior officer at the depot, and she's like, "Well, okay, so we know exactly what's going on. So what we'll do is I'll send an email to the head of those guys, who's like the head of the contractors, right? And then we'll promise you within an hour that'll be sorted, because as soon as they know, like, either I'm contacting them or my senior's contacting them, because she's the assistant to that guy. As soon as, like, as soon as any of them say anything, they're gonna jump. So as they were leaving, in fact, as soon as we came in, like, the security guard's like, hey, look around the yard. None of the contractor vans are here. So like, they all, I get it's all of those vans that say City of Tshwane or whatever. They usually parked in the yard. So all of them were out, meaning they're somewhere around here. Somewhere, wherever they are,
supposed to be doing work,
but our lights keep going out. Like, I mean, like, for a whole week, every single day, no load shedding.
No load shedding.
But these guys are somewhere around here chilling, possibly even switching it off, and they're doing exactly what you were talking about. We're like, okay, well, the contract is for 3 months, but like, let's get some overtime on this shit.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what
most projects and construction jobs generally run over. Right, like I think it's the nature of the work. But some of those things kind of looks a bit too purposeful.
Exactly.
Why are you doing this all the time? You know. So yeah, my bro. Like, we live in such a weird ass like country where so many things are happening at the same time.
For real.
But I mean, generally, I'm a person of hope. But I'm also very hopeful in terms of like where we are as a country and where we're going. I mean, you know, my focus generally has been on like the digital side and like, you know, just looking into what could be done there and stuff. Interesting things, but I mean, like I'm hopeful, man. It's hard not to be hopeful, because I didn't like, if you lose hope, you've lost it.
You've lost
because
the fight. You can't lose hope, man.
The system is meant to break you down to your knees. And if you lose hope and I mean, with all these things that are going on, with corruption, with, you know, a lot of things going on in the country, like it's very easy to lose hope. When you look at job stats, bro, like, and then always an interesting like statistic for me is people who've given up hope on like jobs and stuff.
So I mean, is that the metric they use for unemployment in South Africa? Where they say there's like people who are still actively looking are classified as unemployed, and then those who aren't looking are not counted as unemployed, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm actually not sure if it's included as part of the stat.
I don't think it is,
but
included.
I know there's a stat specifically for people who have stopped looking.
Yeah, but I think I'll check. We'll check it now. Yeah. But I think, as far as I remember, they specifically precluded them from that stat because like then. In as much as like they are unemployed, it's like, well, they don't want to
look for work.
Exactly.
Like they job seekers who gave up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey man, and look, I feel like it's because different, like, people's scenarios and situations are so different.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be hard on people who say I gave up because there's no prospects or whatever. But I can, like, I'll always be the first person to encourage them to be like, yo, like, it's not over yet, you know. I mean, generally, especially when you're young. Honestly, like, when you're young, bro, like, you can't just give. At 30, you done? I get you. At 30, you done, and then you can't just give up and stuff. But I mean, you know, people's situations, and because also like job hunting and seeking and stuff, it's such a mental exercise. That's one thing that people, like a lot of the companies that do job hunting and stuff, I mean, that do job-based programs and stuff, they forget the mental aspects of job hunting. Because job hunting in itself is a job. You spend 80 to 90% of your day job hunting. All those rejections
it's very
are not
frustrating.
natural.
It's annoying. Yeah. Because if somebody can decide that you now want to get work on the basis of looking at your CV once and like, you know what, I don't like this nigga's format. What? Do you hear yourself? Man, it's just a disgusting like thing that happens when people feel like they have power and they can exercise it over other people. Because, I mean, it's something that you should be looking at like from a very pure heart, right? Like if I'm gonna try and play someone, let me try to find somebody who's the best. Yeah. You need to look past things like your CV. You know, like I mean, like if you send me a CV, like maybe it's one page or whatever. I'm like, okay, I can understand. Maybe this nigga's really desperate. You know, like there are a lot of factors to consider. But to say every single day, you need your CV needs to look like that, look like this, needs to look like that. Do you know how many different formats there are out there?
Yeah,
Insane.
I think for me it's always because I've recently tried to. I'm sure you've seen on my WhatsApp, but like I asked for people to just send me whoever is looking for like an internship or whatever. What I did is when people sent me like their CVs and stuff, is I'd be like, you know what? Okay, cool. Let's do this. Let's add this type of information onto your CV in order to better it, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give someone tips, right? You did a job, but you only just included what you did. To better your chances, let's also add this, right?
Yeah.
So like in an application form, for instance, right? And mind you, I learned these also the hard way, from like grafting and graphing. And mind, I almost also like
Gave up.
almost, bro.
Yeah.
Like I almost went home. Like it was that bad.
Oh, I remember you did say.
Yeah, it was that bad. Like I almost went home. Like it's very like it makes sense. A lot of people go back home to try and come back
Just
and
to
you know,
recuperate.
yeah, maybe I need to approach this a different way or whatever. So I also learned this hard way, right? So like when it comes to a CV, like obviously you have your picture, you have your references, you have your skills, and you have just like a brief bio in terms of like who you are. But most of the time that brief bio should include what value you bring, right?
Sure.
As a person.
Yeah.
This is what they get when we get you. Because that's the first question people will probably ask in an interview. Like, when we're getting you, who are we getting? Answer that straight up in the bio in your CV. Back to the jobs you did, right? Or the work you've done. Name a job, how long you worked. Most people will just write, this is what I did.
Yeah.
Wrong way to do it. Most of the time is you have to say, this is the work I did, and then you have to provide some impact, right? That you did, right? So it's called the cause and effect method, right? Cause I did this, because I did this, this was the result, right? Most of the time the result might be numerical, it might
Generic.
be based off a increase in sales, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
because I liaised with multiple customers at a specific point and did this and that and helped them here, the result was a retention of 15 customers.
Yeah.
What the job seeker or HR person is saying is that, oh, okay, this person knows what they did, and this is the result of what they did.
They can help this company in this way.
Cause and effect. They understand what you're doing, right? And that also just shows the value. I mean, you're bringing to a company. You're coming in because at the end of the day, a company doesn't care what personality. Well, some do.
Yeah.
But the big ones, they don't care what
Not so
personality you have, bro. Like most of the time, they're just looking for someone to plug in, but they just need to make sure you're not gonna cause nonsense when you're inside, right? So, yeah, that's all.
They don't want you rock the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they'll just need to make sure that as a person, like you're a person that's proactive, right? You're gonna bring value, right? And you always have to show them your value on them, because that's usually the first thing they see, unless you approach job seeking in a different way, and that's sometimes what you most of the time do, right? Perfect example of how I personally got mine.
All right. Before we get into it, let's just revisit that unemployment definition. Okay. So unemployed person, someone is considered to be unemployed if they are capable of working or starting a business but had not done so. 2, in addition, they need to have actively looked for work or tried to start a business at some point in the 4 weeks preceding the survey.
So this is survey specific.
Yeah. Oh, this is from Africa Check.
Okay, cool.
But
cool.
And then discouraged job seeker. I think that's what you're also
Yeah.
talking about. A person is considered to be a discouraged job seeker if they wanted to work, but there are no jobs in the area. They were unable to find work that required their skills, or they have lost hope or finding any kind of work. Okay. And then another one, not economically active. A person is considered to be economically inactive if they were able and available to work in the week prior to the survey but did not work, did not look for work, and did not try to start their own business. This includes people such as university students and adults caring for children at home. All right, so this is from, what's his website? Africa Check.
Africa Check.
Okay, yeah.
So those stats around the unemployed, discouraged people are part of the unemployment statistics.
The discouraged job seeker.
Because how I see it is that they'll have the unemployment statistics, right? and then they'll slice it up into small pies and say, of these people who are unemployed, this number of people were discouraged or whatever, like people who are not economically active or whatever. So they'll slice up that pie, right? Because there's a definition for what unemployed is. There's a definition for what economically not active. But they still all unemployed, but they form certain pieces of the unemployed pie, right? Based on the different definitions.
Under a broad definition of employment. Okay,
Exactly.
that sounds reasonable.
Exactly.
So you're about to tell us how do you get into your field of work?
So for my
so
situation,
just tell people just tell people what you work at.
I'm a digital media strategist.
I'm trying to remember what this guy does. Why did I describe it?
Nobody knows what I do, and I like it. And I like people not knowing what I do.
It sounds exotic, bro.
It does, but I mean, it's not that exotic because what I do has been in the media landscape for years, right? It's just that it transferred to the digital landscape, and because digital deals a lot with data, it spoke a lot more to that.
It's much bigger now, right?
Yeah. So I'm not a data scientist. I'm not a data analyst. I'm not a business analyst. The specific thing is for that. Sure. My job is specific to the media industry, digital media, right? Cool. So firstly, background. I mean, studied law and stuff for a bit. Eventually, my interests were more towards the business side, right? I liked the whole startup scene. I liked tech startups, huge. I was reading books at Marinsky for a longest time while in varsity and stuff, right? Cool. So I never really intended to go into media, right? Into the marketing, into data. I never intended, right? It was an interest. Because I'm so this is how these companies get here. It was an interest.
Well, which companies were you looking at? Do you remember?
Generally, firstly, I was looking at the 4 data companies, right? The 4 data monarchs, right? So Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Google, right? Yeah. So I was literally studying their founders, their jobs, the business models, how they work and how they formed and all those kind of things. Because I was trying to understand. Because I was seeing the shift, I was seeing the wave, right?
Yeah, I was just lost in the sea. But I can imagine.
The thing is, university was because I was spotting these things, and sometimes it's just based off of curiosity. I was like, what's going on there? Then I'd read, right? I'd read and see, this is what's happening. Oh, snap. Okay, let me first understand what's going on there. Cool. So that's how I inducted myself into that line, right? But then I that's when I soon realized that I don't want to go into law. I want to practice. I don't even want to carry on with this law thing. That's when I shifted onto working for a startup, right? So I started off working for a startup, an e-commerce startup, bustled my way through there. That's also, everyone was started something.
What was the journey trying to get into?
Crazy,
that?
bro.
Yeah,
crazy. Many days of because I don't come from come from a well-off family. I was raised by my mom for the longest time, so things like rent in the last few months, or whatever, I was a struggle. But I needed to stay in the economic center because this is more likely where I was gonna find a job than going back home. It was hard, maniga. I didn't have internet access.
Oh man!
I used to go to McDonald's to get that 500 megabytes of internet. Sit there until it finished. Looking for work, sending out emails. Go to KFC. Sit there. Those ladies at KFC knew me at some point.
Yeah, they're like, hey, here's Zuko. Let's give him a little drumstick.
But at some point I used to sit, and there used to be KFC staff meetings there, and I'd be here chilling. I'm like, oh shit.
Did you give input?
No.
Hold up. I feel like Donald is the one jacking
First of all,
drumsticks.
I literally, at some point, I was I listened to an entire beef. Apparently, someone called Sis Martha. There was an issue with transport or whatever. It was crazy.
Oh, shit.
But I used to sit there, go KFC.
Yeah.
And day in, day out, bro. This is week after week after week. Week after week after week. Sending emails and whatever. Cool, sharp. That carried on for a long time. I almost left, right? I almost left to go back home. Yeah. But then, obviously, I'm reading, how to get jobs, how to get work. And, And at the same time, I'm like,
because this is a field you had like essentially little to no experience.
Because people are it's very hard. People don't want to give you an opportunity in those fields because they want people who are capable, who at least have a degree in that. I'm here. I'm like, I studied a BA with law in international relations, and I studied like LLB and stuff, but didn't finish. And they're like, okay, what do you want here?
We're not really sure yet. Yeah.
Cool. Fuck. So I'm like, in that point, I'm like, I've tried every single straight and narrow route I can find. Let me try something different, right? Let me look at how I can sell myself as a prospective employee, right? Cool. I go on the line. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me try create as a website. I mean, if you even go now to Qusheka.weebly.com, you'll find my entire profile.
On Weebly.
Weebly.
Sounds like
so because Weebly is a free the free thing. You can create a website with just like with Weebly at the bottom. As at the end. So I went on Weebly. It created this entire website. Well, that was basically a profile of me.
All right.
Right. Created an entire profile so that I could send along to like prospective employees. Wait.
I'm going to show you on media.
That's media.
Let's see. Is it Weebly? WE, right?
Yeah. .com.
All right. Okay. Because what I thought of was just like search for it in DuckDuckGo, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
So that's all right. Let me just like
put it in one. Qusheka.weebly.com. So I created my own profile situation and I was like, okay, I'll send this to prospective employers and stuff also along, right? Cool. And then I was like, okay, how can I approach this job thing a little bit different, right? So I'm like, well, I am applying on LinkedIn.
You said .weebly, right?
Yeah, .weebly.com, okay. Yeah. And then I am applying on
look what I did.
Right.
This is a little bit confusing. Sorry, man.
Okay. So I am applying on LinkedIn, but
still, it's not popular. When was the last time you were on this website?
Damn, bro, it was like a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Seriously? Because I'm trying to open it. It gives the address like bar. Is it .weebly.com or just?
Yeah.
Zuko Qusheka.weebly.com. Let me try it.
Damn, man, again, you even spelled my surname correctly. I'm impressed.
What do you take me for, man?
I'm very impressed. Why doesn't it go directly to the website?
I have no idea, bro.
No, but like up top, it's just showing you search things.
No, this is I don't know. It's not picking it up for some weird reason.
Clearly,
it's okay.
Clearly, Weebly fought me.
Yeah,
but
ain't feeling it no more, bro. But
I don't know what's going on. But I'll thing you on my phone. I'll show you on my phone. So I went on Weebly. And just I just.
So you were sending I think you said you were telling me you were sending like your website profile to prospective.
Yeah, I was sending my profile to prospective thingies.
Yeah.
So now because I wasn't 100% sure what type of job I wanted, I was kind of sending out like to everyone. Né? But now I kind of zoned in on a job I wanted. Then I was like, okay, I like that one. Yeah, that was like in strategy, right? I've always thought of myself as like a person who thinks like who can think long term and critically and all those kind of things, right?
Sure.
That's my ego. Cool. Like I want this one. There's a strategy position, right? Because also at Tax I joined the consulting society, right?
Cool. I remember about that.
Yeah. So I was like, I want this one. Yeah. As I'm searching, and this is like after I'd left the job at the e-commerce company where I was working as a digital marketing assistant, and then I got an opportunity to work as a as a copywriting intern for advertising agency like here in Pretoria.
Okay.
After that, then obviously those didn't work out, but it was.
So did you leave of your own volition?
No. It ended. I got let go.
Oh, okay.
Not even ashamed to say I got let go.
Yeah, no, it happens.
But ideally, because I think it worked out in the best way.
Because I mean, you still absorbed a lot of knowledge and
very much
skills.
So.
Yeah, that's
very much so.
Thing.
And I mean, generally, I'm a people's person, so whatever happens, I mean, I still see some of those colleagues. They're like, whatever, it's still a really good time.
That's what happens. Like
exactly. That. So I mean, so I left there. Ne? So now, obviously, I'm going through this process where I'm looking again, and I'm like, I'm doing these things, ne? And these things are giving me faith. because I'm like, okay, I'm step forward, because whatever happens, someone's going to see this. I don't care who sees it, but they're going to see this. Create the website, weebly.com, all that copywriting stuff. You know, again, because I was looking, I'm a bit of I won't lie, I'm an idealist. So Steve Jobs, my guy, right?
Yeah.
Looked at Steve Jobs, connected the dots, looking backwards, right?
Sure.
Looked at my experience. I'm like, oh, I got copywriting experience. Let me create a page on this Weebly that includes all the copywriting examples that I've done, whatever included there, right? Cool.
Can I just stop you right there? Okay, let's just what is the importance for you for like making for putting your profile on a website? Why? What was so important about doing that?
Because for me, because I wanted to go into the digital landscape,
Okay.
I wanted people to associate me with that, and I wanted my information to be accessible. People don't know about you until they know about you.
So what else would you put on this website? So unfortunately you couldn't look at it. But
yeah, so the first slide was, this is me, Zuko Qusheka. Wait, let me try and Google it quickly, bro.
Okay. Because I can imagine like going into the space, like if I were to do something like that, it would maybe look like an opportunity for employees. Shop. They're gonna look at it like. Did you have a video there or anything?
Nah, bro. It's just my picture, right?
Just your picture. So it's almost like, I don't want to call it a CV, but it sounds like a CV in some ways. But what was a lot of the content there?
It almost was, because it was like a digital CV.
Yeah.
Ah, damn it! I said Weebly, not Weebly.
Yeah.
So it almost was a. Damn it! I actually have this on my LinkedIn profile. Why am I looking at it on here?
Let me see if I look at your LinkedIn profile. Then.
Man, I love my LinkedIn profile. You don't see stuff on my LinkedIn. Here it is. Here it is. For the people who thought I was playing, I don't cap. I don't cap. So here it is. So what it has is basically, hello, my name is Zuko, digital marketer, mid-level strategist. It was junior at some point, right? So basically an introduction. Bonjour, my name is Zuko Qusheka. You probably...
Jesus, what the hell is with you? And okay, this is not even you on Medium. What the fuck? Are you Zuko Inc?
No, bro. What do you mean it's Zuko Inc? What? Try Google.
Because it's not on South. Oh fuck, my bad. This is why I love
this man right here.
Okay, but still, this is crazy.
Yeah.
All right, fuck it. All right, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
But here, so it had so it's basically me speaking, right? Bonjour, my name is Zuko. Zuko is a digital, and I basically explain what I do, right? Yeah. And I'm like, obviously to differentiate myself, I'm like, unlike most marketers, I started studying out law and international relations, but after graduation, I decided to spread my wings. Cool. Then I have a get to know me, right? Here, click get to know me. It's basically just like a background of me, right? So get to know me. What am I? Ex-law student, lifelong student, and then business-minded individual. All those kind of things. Then you click up there. Then projects, things that I've worked on, right? Yeah. So these, you remember the copywriting things I mentioned?
Sure.
Here they are. So if you click on any of them, you go to like a link, right? So I've ghost written from like some financial services company.
Wow. Right? Okay.
Like a big one, like a venture capital one. But
so I'm seeing Huffington Post there.
Yeah, I also wrote for the Huffington Post on opinion voices and stuff. Also wrote, obviously, as you saw there, for my Medium. Medium.
Oh, was that you? I thought it was some other weird. Okay.
Now, what I also did is, because I wanted to go into strategy, I included like how I would go around, I would access how I would go about a strategy, right? Yeah. So stage 1, research and all those things. Stage 2, digital strategy development. Stage 3, manage assets, brand identity, launch brand identity, iterate, and analytics reporting at the end, right? So I put all those things in there, and I put them on my LinkedIn profile.
Sure.
So if a person would go on my LinkedIn profile, they click on there, like, oh, who is this guy? I mean, who has a damn website on their thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's there. Cool. And then what I also did is that I approached LinkedIn a bit differently.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So a lot of people get, especially human HR people, they probably get a lot of messages on LinkedIn, right? Like, cool. But before that, I approached people. Well, not really approached people. I approached one person.
Okay.
One person. I approached my current manager. on
in
LinkedIn.
person? Oh,
On LinkedIn.
Okay. So did you already identify the company and him and everything?
Well, not really identify the company then, but I was just like looking for people. So that's another thing. You have to look for people who are doing what you're doing in hopes that they can
put you on.
Not really put me on, but can take some knowledge from them that might help me in the industry. He didn't start off as a digital strategist. Also, he was doing something else.
True.
Right.
Okay.
But he got into it. Right. So I'm like, how did you get in? I'm quite interested. What does strategy look from a media perspective? He graciously enough replied to my email because I sent him a very direct message on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Another issue that people make, or rather mistake that people make, people will be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Then they wait for a reply. I love to know how you're doing, but I'm not here for that. hey, my name is Zuko. This is what I am. This is who I am. I'm very interested in learning a lot more information around this. Would you please just give me some information depending on the question I want to ask? I asked that question. He was like, yeah, sure, hand me your email and then I'll reply via email. I'm like, cool. First point, now I got his email address.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now the conversation has moved from talking here to there. Cool. Now now I send an email, whatever, and he replies, I reply, whatever. Fortuitously, I go on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, let me look at the company he works at. Oh, damn, they have job openings. But I look at the bottom. Junior strategist. Like, so I asked him in the email. I'm like, yo, so I see you guys are still looking for like junior strategists. So like, yeah, send your email through to me, then I'll like pass it on to HR.
Okay.
But realize what that is.
Yeah.
The person who is a strategist is saying, send the email to me, your CV to me. So what I have already, now I have someone who's gonna champion my cause. He already knows that I'm inquisitive. He already knew that I ask a lot of questions. So he's gonna be like, hey, HR person, this guy
sounds promising.
Look at him. Let's get an interview. And I always said, if I get an interview, I don't care who you are, you will take me. And I always said that again, ego. You will take me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. After that, obviously the email processes. I mean the CV. I sent the CV through. It's going through the motions. There's a lot of candidates, right? Like, how am I gonna differentiate myself in this post?
Sure.
Sat down. What if I was already in? What if I was a strategist?
So now you're thinking in terms of the interview, right? Or
no.
In terms of the
interview hasn't even come yet.
Okay.
I don't even know if the interview is gonna come because there was no showcase. He could have been nice.
Okay.
But one thing you like all people should know is that generally when you give your CV to someone who will most likely be your manager, your CV gets looked at by the HR. The HR has to look. I mean, right now when people send their CVs to me, I could send an email to HR, send them directly, but then I could be like, go to Skype to HR and be like, hey, did you look at the email I sent you about this person's CV? Was it not last week that someone sent me a message again on WhatsApp saying, hey, Zuko, thank you so much for passing my email forward. Like, I'm getting an interview. I'm like, great, it's up to you now. I've done all I can.
Okay.
No, but you don't owe me nothing. I've already got someone employed at the span or whatever. Right?
That's great, yeah.
Cool. And then after I did that, I'm like, I'm put myself in the mindset of a strategist now.
All right.
How do I get in? Cool. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, what do strategists do? Whatever. Obviously, based on the information and whatever I got from my now manager, like I bet. I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me create a strategy. I want to be one. Why don't I have any?
Yeah.
So I pick a fictional financial services company.
So do you guys strictly work with financial services?
No. We don't strictly work with financial services.
Okay.
I just picked one.
All right. Okay.
I just picked one. We've worked with like from random like a FedSec. People don't know what a FedSec is. It's like this big bean bag. Very comfortable as bags, by the way. We've worked as a company. We've worked with like FedSec and stuff. Like,
so is FedSec a metaphor or is it an actual company?
Oh, it's a company.
It's
if you literally Google FATSAC, FATSAK, it's literally I think it's based in Cape Town and stuff.
FATSAC. Oh, because you guys do have like one word, man. Sounds like FATSAC.
It does. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Yep,
Okay.
first one there. So, like, obviously, we work with, like, a whole range of companies and stuff. But I didn't know, right? I looked at their website. I'm like, let me just choose a financial services company because... Mainly because I also had like an interest in financial services, and that's also from the tech days because I'm like, financial services in Africa, huge thing. It's still the most biggest funded sector among startups. I digress. Cool. So I put together this strategy, right? With the strategy, I create a fictional situation.
All right.
And then from that fictional situation, I then go through a strategic process, right? So this is the issue. This is the issue. Then I go into the research phase, right? So they have an issue with a specific demographic. I go into the research phase, and then I look for information around the specific demographic. I literally took like a map of South Africa, put it on like a slide, and then I like information in slide form that would show up every time I was ready to speak about a specific thing, right? Wow. I didn't know that was part of the interview process. I just did it.
Damn.
I just did it and sent it along with I did it and put it on my LinkedIn. If you go on my LinkedIn right now, it's still there.
Yeah. Wow.
Still there, bro.
Yeah.
And then I did that, and then I obviously I did the information, the research, and then I continued on, and then I was like, okay, let me do there's another thing you do when you're obviously trying to break down an issue. You do composite character profiles, right?
Okay.
Which is an audience profile. So I did a character composite profile of their target market, right? I was like, okay, this is Zinzi. Zinzi works in Johannesburg, and I did 2 of them because they were differing scenarios. Cool. And then I did a strategic structure, almost like a breakdown of how problems get solved. So I was like, okay, what are some of the big consulting companies from my earlier consulting days? Again, connecting the dots, looking backward. I looked at Accenture. Accenture is a way of formulating solutions based on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So based on this specific issue, I was like, okay, let me steal this. Boom, took it from one of their, because Accenture has a lot of like PDFs around specific information around solving problems, around certain like fintech and all those kind of things.
So they're like small help guides, right?
Yeah, small help. So I took that and I was like, okay, let me try and apply it in this situation. So I took that, showed them, so this is generally how it is. This is how it applied to this situation. After that, I did a breakdown of how I'm gonna solve the issue that they were facing, and then I also did like almost like a way forward, right, in terms of next steps, like a next steps type situation. And then I did that at the back, and then I was like, cool, let me leave this on my LinkedIn or whatever. I don't know if they looked at it, I don't know, but I just did it for me for future instances when I need to send out a CV. I'm like, oh, maybe I should add this in there. Cool, sharp. They don't call me for like a week or so. I'm like, damn, okay. So I hit up again, like, hey, whatever. They eventually, I follow up with them, hey, whatever. At this point, I downloaded something on Gmail that can actually check if someone has read your email or not. So I'm like, oh, okay. So they read my email, sharp. And the thing is that the process I was working on is like, okay, if they read your email 2 days later, 3 days later, hey, just checking up what the application process is, where the application process is at, right? Where are we in the application process? Just to keep myself top of mind, right? Cool. They replied a while back like, hey, thanks for the CV. Look, we'd like to set up an interview at this date. Yeah, I'm like, sharp.
Oh, and in your mind, you already knew.
I'm with it. The interview was on Skype.
Oh, shit.
Does Zucchini have internet?
No.
Nope.
What did Zucchini do?
I call up my bro V.
Oh no.
My Lingles, bro. Mind you, V was also he was working in
Section 27.
Yeah. So I mean. Yeah, so this is pre-COVID, so he was at the job all day. But I mean, like, bro, that's family, man. Like, his parents, that's mom and dad, bro. That's like family, right? So I pull up to their house, and they know that I've been hunting and stuff. So I pull up to the house, I'm like, yo, I have this interview at a certain day. Can I please come and use your guys' internet for a moment? They're like, yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Take this section of the house. It'll be quiet. The kids will be at school, whatever. It's just like, his dad will be around. Like, cool. I arrive on the day. I'm prepped. I've got questions. I looked at their company. I looked at the company website, top to bottom. I know everything about the company. I know everything about everyone who works there. I have questions about people who work there, how they got into their positions or whatever. I have questions, bro. I know this company back to front, right?
Yeah.
I know everything about it. I get into that interview. But the only reason it was on Skype because my manager was in Cape Town at the head office of the company, whatever. Cool. Interview done. We do the interview. Interview works great, right? The interview.
So how did you know the interview went great for you?
Because they were like
when you were physically there. Oh, not physically there, but during the interview. Sorry.
Yeah. Smiles, bro.
They were smiling at you?
Yeah. Sometimes you'll get nervous, right? When
what if
people
they just thought you were cute, bro?
Man, nigga, I am.
You are cute, bro. You're a handsome dude. All right, let's go.
You know, so now I'm going through the interview process, but substantively how I knew it went well is because they were like, we want to do a culture fit.
Oh,
right? A culture fit is the next step of the interview, right? You know, but we need to do the culture fit at the office, right?
Yeah.
But before you do a culture fit, you need to put together a strategy and present it to us.
Oh.
I
don't even know it. I don't even know,
baby. Who you think I is?
Who do you think you're dealing with? Oh man.
What else y'all need?
Damn. Y'all good?
All I'm doing now is prepping this document. I'm prepping it.
Because it's already done.
It's done,
bro.
bro.
My word, bro.
Research, everything done. I'm prepping this document, and by prepping, I'm reciting. I'm you know, because now it just needs to flow in my head, whatever, right? V comes to my place. I was living in Centurion. He sits, I took my laptop, my oldest laptop that doesn't work anymore. I put it behind his car. I put it behind his car, and I'm like, bro, let me just take you through this quickly. And I'm I'm 100% sure he didn't know what I was talking about. I think I was just like,
He's gonna hype you up. That's his job, dog.
I needed a hype man in that moment. Sharp. And then, you know, obviously afterwards, and I think like a big thing is with that whole process is let's having people like my bro V and you niggas generally just as support, right? As support, and you know there's people you can have conversations to around these type of things. Right?
For real.
Cool. So I go to the interview. I probably had like a quarter tank. That's when I still had Ladybug, right? My car.
Ladybug was also clear
one. No, it was the Suzuki Swift.
Oh, it was the Suzuki.
Yeah. So I go to the interview, pull up to the interview, and dressed in a suit, bro.
Okay, I want to hear how this goes. Yeah.
They call me Jim Zucchini. They call me Jim Zucchini. Yeah.
Give it to us.
Pull up in a suit and get there, and obviously this is a very informal place.
Yeah.
This is the general thing with like marketing and advertising companies. Barely wear suits. People show up in shorts.
Zuckerberg spaces, bro.
Definitely. It's a very free, very wonderful space. Show up, and I'm sitting there. The lady who was there, who I grew very close to, Mags, asked me, hey, do you want coffee? I'm like, nah, I just need water. She's like, I sharp. I'm like, do you want me to grab it myself? She's like, nah, I'll get it. I cool, bet. So I set up everything, bro. Set up my laptop, my charger, plug it in, and I'm clicking and stuff, making sure I've got a mouse there. I'm clicking. I'm like, I can't pull too away from the mouse because the mouse is not, take them through the entire strategy, right? Like now, my manager is there. The business unit director and the then head of operations is there.
Wow.
Right. I'm kind of nervous.
Yeah, naturally.
My future colleagues are on the other side because now I'm in like a glass boardroom.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's kind of see-through, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn,
so, but luckily the TV was at the end for the presentation. Cool. So I'm doing my presentation. Presentation goes well. Again, it went well because I was ready.
Yeah. No
matter what could have happened, I was not gonna mess that interview up because I was ready. I've been ready.
Yeah.
You know when you're ready for something so much, you're like, and it's always been like, I just need like, don't give me a full hand, give me a pinky, and I'm gonna kill it.
Nibble.
killed it, bro. You know, and that's literally how I got in. Is because like I saw that everything I was doing things like this. Let me kind of shift how I was doing things, right? Let me different perspective on what's being done, and I mean, bro, within like a few months or whatever, things were great. I mean, obviously you have to pass a probation period by 3 months. It flew by. Within like 9 or 10 months or whatever of being at that work, of being the workplace, I really got a promotion.
Oh wow!
You know, things were like moving so beautifully because I was ready from the outset, and I threw myself into it, knowing that my nigga,
this is yours for taking.
I don't care. Like it's like how Will Smith said it. It's like I don't care if we're on a treadmill. I don't care if the person right next to me is more talented than me, whatever. I will die on this treadmill.
Yeah.
What you will not do is outwork me.
Yeah.
So I was like, my nigga,
yeah,
I will die on this treadmill. If I have to crawl to make this nigga move,
you're gonna keep going, son.
I'm gonna die on this treadmill.
Right.
And I feel like that's the whole, and I feel like work ethic is in everyone, bro. But it's just like sometimes in different facets of your life, you might feel like you're not working hard enough because of the environment, because of the circumstances, because of what you're studying. You might feel like you're not putting in that like a lot of effort. But I feel like when you get to that point where it almost doesn't feel like work, it's something you enjoy doing at the same time. My nigga, you're in it. Like now, you're no longer just crawling on the treadmill. Now you're jogging, and the treadmill's going 60 k's per hour, whatever.
Dude, this is such a beautiful story that you just told right there.
My nigga, but this is a story of so many black South Africans, yo.
Yeah, because I mean, here's the thing, man. You know what, bro? Because in as much as like, I've somewhat have a similar experience, like you know, working as a teacher, it's just, you know, there's a point in time where you feel that, well, I don't know anything about this. You feel a little bit discouraged.
Oh, yes.
But you need to have the perseverance and the hope to trust in yourself that you will.
Imposter syndrome.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You need to fight that shit. You need to realize, like, you know what? If I dedicate myself hard enough, which is what you did, you dedicated yourself, you persevered through all of the small, like, you know, those small little problems.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I don't want to call them small. Sorry about that. But how I describe them is that, like, it's just like for the modern day, those are obstacles, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, not having access to internet, not knowing pretty much jack shit about the job, being let go from one probation period to another.
Yeah.
I know that feeling as well.
Yeah.
Because like I also had like I also lost. Dude, listen. Like I was like I also lost. Like, I also got like let go after my first probation period of China. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? But like
by the time you're already there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. That's the kind of thing. But
nigga.
Here's the thing, bro. So I ended up like, but like I don't want to take away from you. So let me finish talking about like what I want to share, what I feel from what you told me, and then I'll tell you about mine. So from everything that you, so everything you just told me, I'm listening. I'm like, dude, this dude is just a fucking beast, bro. You're just fucking beast mode, dog.
Dave,
like,
what's that name? Dave Goggins.
Exactly, on that type of shit.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the archetype of person that he's talking about. You know, like, you know what, fuck. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be some setback. Like, especially if you listen to the little inner bitch, that little bitch inside of you, bro. It'd be like, oh, dude, you know you can't do this.
Yeah.
Why are you trying? Stop, man. Don't do that. You know, and you're just like, nah, fuck that. Fuck that.
I told her, little bitch.
Exactly.
Not today.
Exactly. And you know exactly in typical David Goggins fashion. You'll just say, not today, motherfucker. And it just keeps going.
Straight up.
It just keeps going. That's what you gotta do, man. And you know, I think it's important when the way that you just like, you know, you just laid out all of those setbacks that you were facing, all of those like difficulties that you were like, hey man, I don't know, should I go back home?
Mind you, that's not even speaking on the mental.
Yeah.
The mental, your mind will give up before your body does.
For real.
Mental health, bro, depression also plays a whole part of that.
I can imagine like the amount of anxiety, the amount of hopelessness, just, you know, it's crazy how desperate you want to cling to something that you feel is safe. So naturally going back home to you was going back to mom, you know.
That's safety, yeah.
Exactly. You want to go back home and be like, hey man, let me recuperate, which isn't necessarily a bad thing always, but you know, when you don't, when you decide to just stick it out, you just fight harder.
Yeah. And
you
you
feel so much more powerful after
bro,
that shit coming out of that.
Bro.
Right?
Straight up facts.
Exactly.
You can't not feel powerful. I mean, and it always takes like, I mean, you probably also look back and like, damn, I didn't give up then. Why should I give up now on anything, right? Yeah. So it's always the same thing, because it's always about thinking, shit, had I given up then? And I'm like a big believer of like things work out the way they're supposed to, but not always necessarily how you want them to. And that's a fact of life, yo. Like, we all have plans. We all have like, after this I'm gonna do this and then all have plans, bro. Yeah. But sometimes life is like, we'll make you wait.
Slow down.
Yeah. Or you'll have to work harder for this one. Or you might have to do this. And I mean, that's what it takes most of the time.
You just have to keep trying, man. Like, I mean, it's so easy to give up. It's so easy to say, like, fuck, this thing doesn't want to work out for me, so I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think as a growing person, I think there is a phase where you will go through motions like that, where you will give up on certain things. But as you keep growing as a person, and I mean, like, I don't know what the biology or the neurology behind any of this is, or the psychology behind it, but I mean, there's a certain point in your age as a person where when you were much younger, you're more inclined to probably give up on certain things. Yeah. Right? When you feel like it wasn't working out, and as you keep growing older, you realize like it's not worth it to give up just yet. You have to keep
you build grit.
Exactly.
You build that grit.
You need to,
because life is like, hey man, if you give up, then cool. Someone else gonna come through and take this opportunity.
Exactly.
So that grit is like, motherfucker, keep going.
You gotta show fucking attitude.
Like, straight up. It's like...
And let the little bitch win, dog.
Not one bit.
Nothing.
So, I mean, and that's not to say every day is gonna be the same, it's gonna be that. There's days where you knock down, where you just wanna be in bed, whatever, where you just wanna be, you know, do whatever. And I mean, that's cool,
it's
but
natural,
like, rest.
Yeah.
And then come out swinging. If you don't come out swinging, it ain't gonna work out. Like, you're just gonna give up on everything you've wanted to do.
You're gonna fall into a pattern of bad habits. Yeah,
exactly. And nothing is gonna come good from there, bro. Like, nothing has ever grown in that space.
Nothing at all, bro.
Like, ideally, everyone should be going after like what they want to do. Like, I don't want to say there's no excuse, because there's always an excuse, but you always have to look above and beyond those excuses. There's an excuse for waking up in the morning. It's too cold. Yeah.
Hey, man.
There's an excuse for everything.
But you are out against the elements, bro. Yeah. You're literally out there, bro.
And generally, like the thing is that it's not just a story of me. It's like a story of like every single person. Every single person has faced a situation where they like, the odds are fully stacked against me, but overcoming them, bro.
But that's exactly how you weed out the characteristics in your personality that hold you back. Right? You want to be able to be that person that can look at adversity in the face and say, I know this is hard. I know this is tough as shit. This is definitely no cakewalk, bro. You need to acknowledge that shit is difficult. Shit is hard.
Yep.
But you need to do hard shit.
Yep.
To become a hard person.
Yep.
Right? Because that's the only way you can continue being so perseverant in anything that you do, man.
Yeah.
Otherwise, fuck it. Let's all stay in bed all day long. Nothing gets done in life. Nothing gets done in society. Nobody's gonna stack the shelves at Pick and Pay. No one's gonna stack the shelves at Checkers. No one's gonna wait. The farmers are not gonna wake up in the morning and milk the cows. Exactly. Nobody's gonna fucking reap the harvest. Nobody's gonna do jack shit.
Exactly.
But we all gotta play our part in the society if we want the world to become a better place. Yeah. We need to be better, bro.
I mean, and we all need to be actively involved in building it, man. Exactly. Even if it's not building the entire world, but building your own world.
Yes.
Making sure what you have and everything that's in there is like it's being built. Even if you're not going to be enjoying the fruits of your labor right now, but making sure that future generations or whoever comes, or your kids even, will be enjoying the fruits of the foundation you've laid.
That's exactly what my GP told me. He said you need to create your own world, and it was so funny when he described it to me. He's like, "Listen, man, like, hey, I don't know what the future holds for anyone, but I know right now, tomorrow, or whenever, if I die, my kids have access to cars."
That's it.
They have money if they want to go to school. If they want to start a business, there's capital.
Yeah.
They have all these different things that they can try to make a difference for themselves. They can fight. You know, they don't have everything they're gonna need. Yeah. But they have something to start with.
Straight
and
up.
you know, that's definitely part of the fight. That's definitely part of the world we're trying to build.
Yeah,
so,
like
spot on that, bro.
Honestly, man, like I want, like, our kids should be able to like do things on a whim. They should be able to say, I want to do this, and then they should be able to change their mind and say, I want to do that, and then that's currency right there. That's freedom. That's being able to switch from different things or wanting to follow this specific path, but knowing that you don't have to worry about the financial ramifications of this. Yeah. Because you're good. You genuinely, like, everyone is good. Mom, like, dad has us good. Mom has us good, you know. So, generally, and I feel like for now, like, that for me was what always a house or a home means. Is that, like, your parents set up a home knowing that you will never not have a home. Like, you as a child or their child, you'll never not have a home. You'll always have a roof under your head because they've set it up. Your next step is getting another house, getting more of this, getting more of that. So now your kids got options. There's house 1, house 2.
Making life better, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. But and I mean, you know what, dog? Like, in as much as like I know, like most of our focus is just around trying to like step out of that comfort zone. I think a lot of people don't. A lot of people shouldn't feel like it's not okay to live at home.
Yeah.
Like don't feel like it's
I'd live
weird,
at home
bro.
if I could.
Yeah, if it was close to the city center,
100%.
right? Exactly, dog. And you know, there's just like, I don't know where this fucking crazy idea comes from. Where it's like, yeah, there's a stigma of like staying at home. Like, people want to treat you like you're some disgusting delinquent person just because you stay at home. Like fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. If you're trying, if you're working, if you're doing something with your life, but you just need to stay at home for as long as you need to until you can make that thing work.
It makes economical sense to stay at home.
It's fucking expensive out here, bro.
Rent.
Bro. Fucking crazy. But I mean, it's Twitter standards, dog. I get it. That it's the streets of Twitter. That's how fucking people behave there, man.
Yeah.
Out of your fucking mind.
I know. It's people have their own opinions and they try to instill their opinions on other people.
Yeah. And
it's almost like what works for your life that is not going to work for my life, and I don't want it to. Like, we're all living our own lives. If you want to stay at home and you have the means to leave, stay at home.
Yeah.
If you don't, like, if you want to stay at home and you don't have the means, like, you're gonna stay home.
Stay in your lane, dog.
Like, bruh, stay in the place that's gonna mean you're gonna be better off in the future.
Yes.
Like, also because no one wants to essentially stay home for their whole lives, bruh. Everyone's got their own ambitions. Exactly. I want to own my own home. I want my own space. Yeah. I want like this many rooms, or I want this room to be like an art room or to be a creator's room or whatever. Everyone has their own ambitions. So like, nigga, if for me, I'm always like, if what I'm doing with my life is taking nothing from your plate, don't have an opinion. I'm not taking from your plate.
Exactly.
I'm living my own life.
Exactly.
I'm not taking from your plate. You fed. Nigga, I'm trying to feed myself too, but I'm trying to feed myself in my own way.
Yeah. You don't have to eat in the same way, man.
Yeah, like, nigga, if you eat pop with your hands and I'm out here, I'm like, hey, yo, bring me a spoon. Shit. We both getting fed, ain't we? We both getting fed.
No, but typically, I'm trying to think about, like, what do you guys...
What do I do?
Mentioned, yeah, what do you do? And then, do you guys work with... Do you work on projects, or does everybody have an assignment, or do you work in teams? How does it work? How does the office... Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah. So the thing is, our company, the thing we're in is a relatively niche.
Okay.
Niche because not a lot of companies in South Africa are well positioned to do it. I'm not saying not do it, well positioned to do it, right? Because we're not it's not a marketing, it's not a digital marketing agency. It's a performance agency. So we work, like one of the key quotes or whatever that was like on our shirts a while back was, we turn data into like revenue, right? So we look at business goals, business objectives, what you want to do as a company, and we align it with, data and all that stuff. Now, data is a new phrase, new term or whatever, but there's different ways to collect data. Companies collect data. Like big companies, they collect data.
Okay,
right?
so typically, let's just try to differentiate between different ways. So I imagine like there's tracking.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the big companies will normally track you. Like Facebook, you leave Facebook, you go on Google or whatever. Facebook will be tracking you. Google will be tracking what websites you visit, type of thing.
But that's like a complicated thing, because that has like a tag manager, we have a specific person that deals with all that, because that involves architects.
So you said tag manager.
Yeah.
So essentially, what's a tag? Is tag websites?
No. A tag is a piece of code that you include in like a specific page of a website, whatever, right?
All right.
Then, so that person has to make sure specific tags are in place, they're not broken or whatever. So that piece of code, you include it in there, and then it almost acts like what we call floodlights, right? Like it provides information on that specific page, movements, how many people are visiting, bounce rates, all those kind of things. That's what the tag manager that's what a tag manager handles, right? Because that's a job category, right? Tag manager, but a tag is that specific thing. Facebook is the same thing. Facebook has Facebook pixels, right?
Yes.
Also, put it on something, track what happens as it relates to that specific Facebook ad or whatever, right? Cool. Basically, tracks, right? So, what the company does is essentially it because we work with like big companies, right? So we have we're a GMP partner, we're a Google marketing platform, right?
Okay.
So there's different ways to collect data, right? It just so happens media and marketing is the best way to collect data, right? Because what happens when you're a marketing company is you can send out information, right? So we have a brand has a specific message they want to put out there, but it depends what type of message they want to put out there, to who, why, and all those kind of things, right? So sometimes the message is around like a brand awareness, right? They just want an accolade, and they want to like, hey everyone, we just want an accolade, right? Brand awareness, right?
All right.
So we essentially use the GMP platform is essentially used for all those kind of things, for collecting data, for managing data, and for like more like slicing data up and just getting insights from that data in order to inform future campaigns, current campaigns, business decisions, right? So we'll get, so we work in teams, right? So we'll get like a brief, for instance, right? We'll get a brief, and the brief is like, hey guys, we want to do this.
Okay, so let's try to make it as practical as possible. Say maybe I run a company or something. I don't know what kind of company you would be in your typical brief or something like that, but like, say I run a company, I approach you guys. How can you help me?
Depends what you want to do though.
All right.
So as a company, because we operate sort of a bit different, we like to also understand what you're trying to do as a business.
Okay, so say I'm trying to
like what's your long-term goal? Do you
say I'm trying to turn like my platform into a marketing place. So say maybe I want to run say I'm running a company where I'm like running like online catalogs for Pick and Pay, for Sport and all you guys, and I'm trying to like boost the amount of traffic coming to like coming onto my website. Yeah. But I don't know how to do that. So how would you guys help me?
So now obviously we're already gonna be looking at what you're trying to do, right? So now you want to drive site traffic.
Yes.
So you don't want to create brand awareness, right? You don't want to get yourself known as that, but you just want to drive people to. Now that also involves like the creative and the type of click-through CTAs that like are going to be included as part of that, right? So we'll obviously look at that overall. Most likely, this is just very basic, by the way, because when we do this, like when they put these things together, because there's a team also for that, right? When they put those things together, they look more holistically around what the business is also trying to do long term and stuff, right? Cool. So online catalog. So, for instance, from a Facebook's perspective, you're probably gonna go on Facebook and you're like, "Hey guys, cool. This is what's available, right? This is what we can do." You're probably also gonna tell us this is the budget, right? We don't most digital. Well, in our niche, we don't really work with like small budgets because what we're trying to do is also long term, right? Because it's data focused. Data is not like
it's not a once-off thing.
It's not a quick fix, right? Because because there's collection of data that needs to be done. There's data sources that need to be, there's data projects, right? So all those kind of things encompass, right?
Very big picture.
So from your instance, it would normally be what a digital marketing agency, like a run-of-the-mill digital marketing agency would do, and they would like, "Hey, cool, send us your budget. This is what you want to do. This is the audience you want to target." Because not everyone does online. What's this?
Catalog.
Yeah, not everyone reads them, right?
Yeah.
So your demographic is already shrinking, right? So it might be from 18 to 35 instead of 18 and 65, right? Cool. You want to target these people, will set the demographic or whatever, and then cool, right? And then obviously you also need a little bit more info around what does this landscape look like, right? Who are my competitors in this space, right? What does the audience look like, right? Who's in there? What are the interests and stuff? Because we don't just like target like Wongo Muntu, because what that does is this also plays a part in the type of creative you want to create, right? Because now it can be geared towards a specific type of person.
Because that's the beauty of data. Because now you can know exactly if you're gonna advertising maybe like specials for like chocolates. You can more or less build a profile about people who like chocolates. Right.
Now we can build these profiles, for instance, from a Facebook perspective, you can build them. From a Google perspective, you receive them because Google already collects data, which is another different conversation in itself.
Wait, so
Google collects data on everyone.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand how do you differentiate? Because Facebook builds profiles, right? So
you can build a profile,
and then they just attribute that data to you.
Right? No, not to me specific.
Okay.
They don't, because they don't know who's who, right?
Okay.
They don't know specifically who's who because they're not allowed to.
So they just tag maybe an ID number, like maybe like a tracking number or something like that. But it won't necessarily be your name that comes up.
So no. So for Facebook, for instance, right? For example, Facebook looks at, like, for instance, all your interests.
Yes.
Looks at your page
on Facebook and outside, right?
Mainly Facebook, but.
Okay.
I think sometimes outside, because a lot of people have Facebook or Instagram, they don't really switch off.
Yeah, they track you
they just continue, right?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So they will see, they'll look at your profile and they see, oh, Wendy likes tech stuff. Oh, Wendy likes shopping. Oh, Wendy. And then when a person who's an advertiser is wanting to target Wendy who likes tech and stuff because I have an offering that speaks to that, you'll probably be part of that mix. Because of those interests, of those small things, that bit of information that I picked up. They're also doing natural language processing. A lot of their companies are doing natural language processing where they look at someone's entire feed and they'll pick up on things that a person likes. If you were like, oh, I love chocolates and stuff, then it might pick up like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah,
we're gonna serve this man an ad. When you like something, or when you post about something, or when something's on your profile, it adds more for you to be targeted on. It just adds, it's part of the bucket.
I was just about to show you right now.
Yeah,
it's tracking me. There's 4 trackers blocked here.
For
on the website, right? FedSec.
Yeah.
There's Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook in years.
So you have it blocked? God damn, one day.
Isn't this crazy?
This is great. What?
This is on the website, FedSec.
No, but is this DuckDuckGo? What's
this is DuckDuckGo that's like that. They can show you exactly who's tracking you.
God
and they have like top tracking offenders. They got them by name. Or who's my biggest like tracking offender? It's like Google, Oracle. They control your market digital, these things, but
it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
but yeah. So they all those things. So I mean, we'll even if you go on Google and you type in "find my audience" and stuff, or you wanna look at what Google information has on you. It's not hidden.
No,
they'll tell you what they have on you in terms of information and stuff. Like it's there. So they collect all that information. Like every company, every media, every tech company, even Apple. Apple as a closed system knows a lot more about its consumers, but it's just that only Apple has access.
Yeah, they won't sell it.
Yeah. But I mean, Apple uses it.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's for. You see, now it gets interesting. Do they sell it to people? But they don't sell ads, do they? But they do like recommend content and like.
Look at what Apple is doing in the next 5 years.
Okay. Well,
Apple has a gold mine in users.
Yeah, naturally. But
Apple just said, we're not gonna allow people to get tracked on our platform anymore.
Yeah, because like they I know Facebook is like is trying to fight them on that as well.
Watch them. If that goes out well successfully, it means that potentially Apple could have its own like
environment or
sell ads on people they've been knowing since, because Apple customers are very loyal.
But I mean, it's if they're not going to allow tracking, it's not necessarily, I don't see it as necessarily a bad thing, because I mean there's pros and cons to it, you know. Like Zuckerberg feels like they're going to prejudice a lot of small business owners who rely on Facebook ads.
They probably will
through Apple. But also, I mean, the thing is, like, there's better ways for Facebook to run their business as well. You don't have to necessarily track people all the way outside of outside the platform.
Yeah,
it's very technical. It's very difficult to disseminate that problem, because now it becomes a matter of like, okay, what if this is what makes Facebook its biggest selling point, that they have so much like niche data on the users.
But that's the issue, bro. Like a lot of people have in terms of like Facebook and Google and maybe Apple to a large extent, is that they still define themselves as tech companies, whereas they're the biggest media agencies in the world.
Exactly.
So that small differentiation in them means that they feel like they operate on a different set of rules. And they're now finding out, because the European Union is suing the I mean, the European Union, I think, were the ones who introduced the GDPR.
Yeah, a lot of antitrust lawsuits.
The European Union is like, well, you have a lot of data on people, and are you using it in an effective way? Because data wasn't like managed as the way it is now. So, I mean, even us, like when we're doing data related stuff, it's very stringent. Like, I mean, it's very stringent. I mean, we have the POPI Act and stuff. So there's certain things that you need to adhere to.
POPI Act is the, what was it? Protection of
I think it's the
Public Information Act?
Yeah, I think it's something like, slip my mind now, but because we use the abbreviation so much. But yeah, bro, like, it's going back to like what we do and stuff. It's ours is very team focused and stuff. So there's people who like run campaigns, right? It's campaign managers. There's us, the strategy team, who help out with all this insight and all this long-term info. And
so strategy guys, you guys will be more or less planning everything, or do you be?
Yeah, I don't want to. You see, that's the ego, right?
Yeah, I don't. But like this nigga right here.
Yeah, so we'll plan like campaigns, because briefs come to us.
Okay.
Then we'll look at the entire brief.
Consult with members.
Yeah, sometimes we'll look at, because we're platform experts, we'll look at the platform, see what's working, see what's not, and try and make things make sense, so that, because we have to go back to client and present this as something that's going to make sense, not just for the short term but for the overall picture. Because what happens is that there's objectives, like there's overarching objectives in terms of like just generally like business objectives. Every business has objectives, and as a company, as a business, we have to meet those objectives in terms of from a spend perspective, from a what the company is trying to do long term or short term.
In terms of growth, right?
Yeah, growth in terms of what we're putting in, where money is going, how it's being spent, what's the results from that. Again, cause and effect. Because we did this is the result of that. We need to account to all those kind of things. So like what we do is very much like it's focused more on data than on like the marketing portion, right? So companies who focus on the marketing might have creative, like they might create like images and stuff and all those kind of things. We're not focused on that. We don't come up with creative concepts, and we don't.
We're not trying to make your page look or platform look beautiful.
Yeah, we're more into the technical stuff, but it's just that the media is the conduit of a lot of the data. I mean, companies might collect data from when you sign up. They might collect your email from you sign up, and then boom, you become part of their direct mail listing list. Yeah. Some other companies just use digital in this specific way. So not a lot of companies in South Africa do that, because a lot of people they think digital marketing is it's generalized, right? They look at digital marketing the way they look at marketing. And and it's different. It's not just about running ads on Facebook. It's not about running ads on Twitter, or it's not running ads on Twitter. It's not just running ads on like Google. It's like there's a lot more intricate stuff that happens that relates to receiving information. What are we going to do with that information? How do we make sure that we're meeting business results, business objective with this information that's coming in? And just overall in terms of like data and like marketing and media and stuff. I say marketing with media underneath, but yeah, so I kind of focus on those things, bro. Like sometimes it's very hard for me to explain, because I'm also like in the day-to-day like grind of it all.
You don't necessarily you probably do think about it, but not in layman's terms. You're very technical about it.
Because if I would explain some of the things that like our like business like analyst team like member does, it will be like what the heck is hashing? What the heck is Python? Some people still don't know what Python is. People don't know how to work with SQL databases and stuff. Like people don't know how to go on platform and people not just go on, but they don't have access to some of the platforms that we have, or access to some of the Google like platforms that
services,
we have. Because there's like Google marketing platform, but then there's many things under that. There's like SA360, there's like DV360, there's Google Analytics, there's all those kind of things, and all those points have to connect in order for us to put it into like one like presentation that can speak to what the client wants to do and stuff. And we also need to always prove, this is how this stack is helping you get to where you need to be as a company.
And I was doing a little bit of research last night. I saw certain things about like Facebook certifications and Google certifications. So they do have little courses you can do, right?
Google has courses free.
Yeah.
Facebook has courses. Some of them are free, some of them are not.
Yeah.
Twitter has courses free, some are not. Twitter has Twitter Flight School. It's like courses you can take. There's courses, bro, and all these things you can put on your LinkedIn profile. That just plug you
even add to your CV as well.
Yeah.
Right?
I included so many of those things in my.
So which ones did you do? Did you do any?
I did my from Google. I did the digital market, but mind you, these things expire, right? So I did my
that's the catch.
But it's a good thing, because you have to refresh every single year, because one thing about digital is it doesn't stay the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Constantly moving. What you knew last year is not the same this year. It might have changed.
Policies change and things like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did my Google Google AdWords fundamentals course on Google. And then I also did my I was doing my Google Digital Marketing Essentials, which is like an overall type situation. I was doing that. You know, and right now I'm doing a lot more of the things that I just mentioned now, from Twitter Flight School to Facebook Blueprint and all those kind of things. I'm like doing actively right now. We have to, in order to stay abreast of what's going on and making sure that our fundamentals are proper, and all those things. So I mean, it's not like some of the work, especially when it gets to an advanced stage, it's not the easiest stuff, but it's fun to do. Like, it's enjoyable to do these things because it just sheds light on what's going on the platform itself and stuff, right? Because Google updates that all the time. Yeah. So yeah, bro, that's it.
Hey man,
that's it.
But I appreciate you coming around, man. Because I see it's getting quite late. It's like almost 5:45. You know what it is, dog. I really appreciate you coming on to the Octagality podcast and talking about this amazing journey you've been through, this fucking crazy world as well. Like, in fact, like, just this like digital media strategist shit is just like, it's, you know, initially when I looked it up, it sounded like, oh, Zuko's in marketing, but just online.
My nigga, what's weird is you probably will not find a clear definition of it. there is not one. Like, a lawyer will be like, a person who studied that. You will not find a clear definition. It's not
a university course or a textbook course. It's very neat. It's surprisingly niche, but it's just not there.
And that's why I just find so many people in it. Yeah.
So thank you for coming on to the show, man.
Oh, brother, you know what it is,
dog. All right,
it is, ganga.
Don't forget to subscribe. Like, hey man, do you have anything you'd like to promote yourself personally, or?
Watch
here, nigga.
I don't know why I'm looking at. Watch Octagality.
Alright, there you go.
Every day, all day, twice on a Sunday, because your mama said so. And Tazukini said so.
There it is. There you have it, folks. Alright, you guys have yourself a beautiful time. Love you guys. All 37 of my subscribers. Take care. Peace.
Get it to 100 or 200.
Yeah.
300.
You know, I've got like a goal of like at least trying to get like